Good morning, Mr. Barber students. It is Wednesday, the 13th of May. A couple things to keep in mind before I get into it, guys. Number one is that please remember there's only this week and next week in regular assignments, and then after that it's the finals week. I will be posting a minimal amount of work for finals because I'm going to leave the time open for you guys to catch up on anything that is due. Or sorry, excuse me, not due, but is has not been turned in yet. So please remember, if you want to boost those grades up, you have a limited window to do so, about 2 weeks at this point. Alright, so let's get into the news. My favorite story of cosmic justice going on right now is that the armed Michigan protests that I mentioned a little while ago, where you had these militant people that waved around Confederate flags and Nazi propaganda and AR-15s and vaguely resembled a white supremacist rally in Michigan, ranting about opening up and all this. Well, it turns out that about a week or two afterwards, unsurprisingly, there's now been a spread of COVID-19 infections in the rural areas where these people came from. So we are getting to see that exactly what people said would happen, happened. They showed up, they masked together without masks or social distancing, and now they've affected their own communities. So that's the coronavirus news for you. For the GovEcon kids, there's a really good article in Politico showing how politics has actually caused a divide in how to respond to the coronavirus as it continues. So we have this, as this article points out, this political and economic divide where the conservative Republican GOP is so concerned about the economic damage that they are pushing and pushing and pushing to reopen the economy as fast as possible with as minimal a uphill climb as possible, whereas you see the progressive Democrats and all that, and the liberals and all that, are pushing for a much slower process. And some states kind of find themselves in the middle with the more centrist governors and county leaders and mayors. So this one really does highlight how literally the political spectrum affects how these people view, economic questions, or even the morality of how many people should be allowed to die for the country to function. For world history, I'm actually going to go ahead and link to you guys a video that a buddy of mine sent. Now, I already know all this stuff, but he put it up. I think he came across it and found it amusing. So it's a video called Year 536 Was the Worst Year to Be Alive. And it's a amusing little video because it does remind you that as bad as it seems now, don't worry, it was definitely worse at some point in history. So you be able to read about the year that a massive volcanic eruption set off a whole series of starvations, famines, plagues, wars, and all that kind of stuff. So it's a little long. It is almost 12 minutes, but I promise it's amusing if you enjoy that kind of dark humor. And lastly, something that's amusing with a little less darkness, a game recommendation for you guys to pass the time today is called Catan. So the Catan series with the original game Settlers of Catan, and there's a whole bunch of offshoots as you can see on this website. Catan is a legendary game. It's generally considered one of those gateway games that people like me who play the European ones that are less luck and more strategy. This is kind of one of those that everybody has to play and have a copy of at some point. So there's all kinds of different variations, as you guys saw. Let's see if I can bring it back up. Okay, there's variations. There's also digital copies you can find on things like the Switch, PC. I think there's a mobile copy for phones as well. So there's all kinds of different ways to play it. It's one of those games that is pretty easy to pick up and learn, but over time can develop a lot of strategic thinking, and there's a lot of expansions that add to the difficulty in the strategy. Alright guys, there is not much else going on today. Please remember world history. Be on the lookout late today or early tomorrow for your work to post. Econ late Thursday or early Friday. You guys will see your stuff. Alright guys, have a nice day, and I will see you tomorrow.